Folks, look what came in the mail yesterday. This is the, well, I've heard it called the Hobbyking Overlord. Maybe that was just an internal name during development, because when I got it, it's not labeled Overlord anywhere on it. It's labeled the 5.8 gigahertz 40 channel 6 antenna Racing Edition Diversity Receiver. And this is a 6-way diversity receiver. And I'm going to tell you why that's so freaking cool. But first, I just want to tell you, I'm so excited to see this. I work in RF. I do wireless network design, outdoor point-to-point wireless, all kinds of basically wireless stuff. And what you see here is really common in the world of RF. And if you look up at a cell phone tower, you'll see a series of antennas arranged in an array, kind of like this. And if you know about RF and how cell towers work, you know that what they're doing is not diversity. But the underlying concept of taking a bunch of directional antennas and combining them in an array, that's not new. It's a great concept if you're willing to have the back-end sort of processing to make it work. And I've been wondering for a long time why nobody is doing this with FPV. See, we have a problem with FPV, and the problem is that we don't have the ability to have arbitrarily powerful transmitters with arbitrarily sophisticated antennas, because we need to put our transmitters on a tiny little mini quad. We need to run them off a LiPo battery. We can't suck a bunch of power, and we can't, anyway, we have all these restrictions, but we can do whatever we want on the ground station. And so making the ground station more sophisticated is something that I've been waiting to happen. And look who's first to market, as far as I can tell. It's Hobbyking. Go figure. What have we got here? Well, you can see here we've got 5 patch antennas. These are 14 dBi AOM patch antennas arranged in a circle. And here's why that's good. A high gain antenna gives you increased range. How does it do that? It does that by taking the beam pattern and focusing it. So if you think about a flashlight with an adjustable beam where you can have a wide beam or a narrow spot, that's essentially what a directional antenna is doing. And what that means is you don't get something for nothing. When you go to a high gain antenna, you get a more range in that one direction that it's pointing, but less range everywhere else. And that's why we don't all put 13-turn helical antennas on our goggles. Never mind the weight. It's because if you have a high gain antenna, you can only fly straight out and back. If you fly to the left or the right of your beam pattern, the signal drops off and you are done. But this gives you the best of both worlds. Because what we've got here is each of these antennas is covering its own little pie slice of the circle. So each antenna gives you high gain in its own direction, and the other antennas pick up the rest of the circle. So you get the best of both worlds. 360-degree coverage with high gain. Fantastic. Now that all assumes that the underlying diversity and etc., we all know that it's possible to build a bad diversity receiver. And I am not going to talk at all about how good this is as a diversity receiver. The only thing that this video is designed to show you is, I'm just so excited about this product. I have to show you that it exists, and that, I'm so psyched about it. I just want you to know it's out there. It may be good, it may be bad. You'll find out about that when I do my full review, and you probably, given the way my production schedule works, you probably won't see that for 3 weeks, so don't hold your breath. I normally don't do this, but I'm really so... When I saw this product, first time I saw it was in a Hobbyking weekly news update, and they showed it, and I was like, whoa, must have, give me. And then nobody reached out to me, and I never heard another thing about it until yesterday when I got a box, and I was like, oh, who was this box? And here it was. And I shrieked like a little girl when I saw what was inside here. So whoever is responsible for getting me this, and I really have no idea who sent me this, that came with a label from Hextronics on it. Hextronics. Thank you to whoever got me this. Anyway, let's take a closer look at it, though. What do we got here? So these are, like I said, AOM 14 dBi patch antennas. You can see here that they do have a SMA or RPSMA, whichever, probably RPSMA, connector on the back, so, and a standard pigtail. So if you decided you didn't like these antennas for some reason, you certainly could put your own antennas on here. It would be pretty expensive to do, but you could do it. You could customize this in any way you see fit. We've also got a regular cloverleaf on top here, and that's actually really smart that they did that. The reason they did that is that these patch antennas are going to be covering outwards but they don't have great coverage directly above because, again, the directional beam focuses down. So this cloverleaf is here to give you coverage when you're flying sort of above yourself and close in an area that these wouldn't cover. So that's really smart how they've done that. The antennas have up tilt capability. You can up tilt them. That one they need to be snugged down a tiny bit to hold its angle, but they have up tilt capability. So normally, if you've got the antenna perpendicular to the horizon, half your signal is going to be going into the ground. So if you just up tilt it a little now, you can get a better aiming of the antennas. Very nice. It's got an on-off switch. It's got DC outputs. As near as I can tell, this is just VBAT. There's no regulator in here. I haven't confirmed that, but that seems to be what the manual suggests. So this is intended to run off a 3S battery, in which case you'd have 12 volts out here for your goggles, if that's what you so desire. It says it can take up to 18 volts. And so, in theory, you could run it off a 4S, and in fact, that's what I'm going to do because I don't have any 3S's that will fit into this little cavity here. Hello? Open, please. Oh, there we go. I was doing it wrong. So yeah, that's designed to hold a 3S 2200, but I don't have anything that'll fit in there. So oh, you son of... Well, anyway, I'll have to find a battery that fits in there. Let's shove something in there and break it. That's a shame. Oh, well. Says it draws 500 milliamps at 12 volts DC, so not too bad on the current consumption, and it should run for a good long while off a 3S battery. As near as I can tell, there's no way to charge that battery once it's in there, so it's not like you could leave a LiPo in here and just plug this in at the end of the day. I think you will need, well, yeah. I guess if this is VBAT, and if there was no reverse current protection, you could potentially charge the battery through one of these ports. That you would have to rig up a charging circuit inside. So if you were really industrious, you could probably figure out a way to permanently install a battery in here. But the intent is clearly that you take the battery out at the end of the day and replace it. By the way, there is a tripod adapter here on the bottom. Of course there is. So let's take a look at the menus. And again, this is just a quick first look. I haven't studied this in depth, and I'm going to try not to give you any wrong information, but just a sort of a walk through the menu. So here's the first screen we see when we power up. We've got the channel that we're currently on, which is remembered from the last time you powered up. And we've got the 6 antennas here showing the RSSI on each of the antennas and which antenna is currently active. I can use the up-down arrow to manually switch between antennas if I so desire, or I can let the diversity algorithm work. I do not know if you manually pick how then to get diversity active again. I'm not really sure about that. You can use left-right to switch through the channels and see the signal strength on each of the channels. Also, the signal strength here, there's not much distinction between the individual antennas, and the reason for that is that this copter, I've got a copter powered on, and it's about 7 feet away, so the signal is just blasting through the top on all of them. So we can channel scan. Here we're scanning through all 40 channels, and we're finding which ones are the strongest. If there is a V right here, that indicates that the receiver believes there's an active video signal on these channels. And I'm actually broadcasting on 5740, but you can see it's picked up 5740, 5745, 33, and 52. Basically everything in a range around my actual channel. Here is the spectrum analyzer, and I can pick which antenna I want to. You see where it says ANT5. I can switch between the antennas individually. If I want to see what each antenna is seeing in terms of spectrum. If there's a noise source coming from a particular direction, one antenna may be picking it up stronger than the others, perhaps. Manual antenna selection. I can pick an antenna manually. In this mode, diversity is disabled, and I will simply stay on the given antenna and not move off of it. I can also manually select an antenna while in diversity mode, and I'm not sure, maybe what that does is it forces you to that antenna, but then if another antenna becomes stronger, it jumps off. I don't know about that. Race mode basically just seems to limit you to the 8 race band channels only, and not let you select normal channels. Race mode is an on-off. Let's see here, screen 1 of 2. How do we get to the next screen? There we go. Next screen, there we go. And here's where we do some configuration of options: battery minimum, battery maximum, RSSI mode, battery mode, bar or percent. Yeah. Oh no, definitely want digits. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I like digits. RSSI beep for when you switch. Let's see, there's more. There's more, though. There's also options. Maybe if you hold it down. No. There's supposed to be options. The manual suggests that there are options also for configuring the diversity algorithm, so you can configure basically how aggressive the diversity algorithm is or how sticky it is, whether it will jump quickly or whether it'll try to hold on to an existing antenna. I don't know how to do that. I'm not going to take up any more time trying to figure it out. I'll research this more and do a full review. So there you go. This is the Hobbyking or Quanum Overlord, although they're not calling it the Overlord anymore. Apparently they're calling it the 5.8 gigahertz 40 channel 6 antenna racing edition diversity receiver, also known as the Overlord in my opinion. And I can't wait to try this out. I'm so psyched to see this. I've been waiting for this to come to FPV for so long. I even thought about inventing one myself, except this is not actually an easy thing to invent. RF diversity, I know you guys out there who are electrical engineers are going, oh yeah, no, it's easy. I'm just saying, if you're an Arduino hobbyist, building an RF diversity system is non-trivial. So it's great to see somebody like Hobbyking taking this on. Let's find out more as time goes on, but for now I hope you've enjoyed this first look at this product. Happy flying.